welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a sprinkle Faulltline cake, and Faulltline cakes are quite the trend at the moment and it's very easy to make. I've got everything in front of me, so I'm just quickly going to run you through what you need. So first of all, I've got 3 layers of sponge. They're all 15 centimeters. I've also got a thin 15 centimeter board. I have got my palette knives. And then I've got my scrapers. I've got various scrapers here. One of them is specially for fault lines. You can see the marks on the side where I'm going to scrape around the side of the cake. It's got for 2 different heights, and I'll show you which one I'm going to use. Then I've got a very tall straight edged one from PME. I'm going to use the straight side of that. I've got my gold paint and I've got my sprinkles. I'm also colouring it. The buttercream, I'm going to colour with the cerise colour from Colourburst, stunning pink colour. And then I'm going to add some flavouring to my buttercream, the strawberry flavouring from Flavour Nation. And over here, I have my white chocolate ganache, which is nice and set now, ready for me to do my cakes. And I have my buttercream. I've also got boiling water here, which you will see when I'm busy ganaching my cake. I'm going to dip my palette knives into there just to warm it up so I can get a nice smooth effect on the chocolate. Now I'm going to post a link to all the recipes in the description box below. I'll post the link to my sponge cake, to my chocolate ganache and to my buttercream. Right, let's begin. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to level these cakes to all the same height. Here I've got my cake leveler. And I've gone just 1 notch below the top notch here, and I'm going to start leveling it. And I'm going to start from the one side and go across to the next side and the last one. Now you can keep these layers if you're going to make cake pops or cakesicles. You can use this. It will freeze perfectly well. Don't throw it away, because it will come in useful. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to layer my cake, and I'm going to be putting chocolate ganache between the layers. But I'm first going to start off with a little bit at the bottom. Just remove the paper from the back of my cake and pop that on. And remember, you can flavour your chocolate ganache as well. And I've done some strawberry flavouring in this one. There we go. Right. Next one, remember to remove the papers off the back of your cake if you've still got them on your cake. It's a good idea just to let these layers set in between, otherwise they might just slide around. Doesn't take long. Right. When you make a chocolate ganache, you need to let it rest for a while and it'll thicken up. If you try and ganache a cake straight after making your ganache, it's just going to run everywhere. So it's best just to let it sit for a while. I usually make mine, and within the hour I will use it. Before I cover this all in ganache, I'm just going to let these 2 layers set. The cake is now set. You can see that those layers are nicely firm in place. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the ganache to the rest of the cake. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm just going to work it around and down the cake. So as I'm going around, I'm pulling it down, so you can see there. Bring it over and quickly wipe it around the side of the cake. So by ganashing your cake, you're giving yourself a nice firm base to work on, and your Faulltline cake won't move. Some Faulltline cakes, you've got the 15 centimeter with a 10 centimeter and then a 15 centimeter. Those can be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you a nice easy way to make one. Right, now we bring out the scraper. You don't want too thick a layer of chocolate on here. You just want it enough just to seal your cake and to keep all those crumbs in one place. Now what I'll do with this is I'll pop this into the fridge and let that set nicely, and then you can start working on your Faulltline cake. Okay, now the cake is set, and you can see this is nice and firm now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my buttercream to the top and the sides, smooth it down, and then I'm going to add sprinkles, and we're going to make a nice Faulltline on here. So let's first start by adding the icing on top. And around the cake. Going to go around that with my palette knife, just smooth all that icing on nicely. Right, now that's all covered. Now I'm going to smooth that down with my tall smoother, scraper, sorry. There we go. So now we're going to start, and we're just going to scrape all that down. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I want to add my sprinkles. Now I've got my Faulltline scraper here, and it's got two sides to it. This is for a lower Faulltline, and this is for the Faulltline I need. It goes in between my cakes on that middle layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape that all the way around so that you can see there's a Faulltline that's being created there. Let's just do that a little bit more. Right, now I'm going to work inside a baking tray so that the sprinkles don't go all over the place. And you want to pop these into your hand. And where your lines are, between that line, between there and there, you want to add your sprinkles. I'm just gently pressing them on there. What you want to do now is just scrape off all those extras. Just get my scraper. Right, and what you need to do is just let the cake set now so that those sprinkles can set nicely onto the buttercream. And then when it's set, then we're going to come back and we're going to finish that off by piping more at the top and the bottom, and we're going to paint the gold on the Faulltline. Okay. So I'm just going to pop this in the fridge, and I'll be back shortly. Right, now the cake's been in the fridge just for a short while, just so that the icing can set. You can see that the icing is now touch dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe around the top and around the bottom. can see your fault line starting to form now. Right. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to carefully smooth this round. You need to be careful that you don't push onto the sprinkles. So I'm just going to carefully go around this. You don't want to disturb the sprinkles. Now again, I'm just going to let that dry just slightly. And let's just add a little bit more around there. Okay, just going to pipe a little bit more just to give it a more of a definition. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that air dry very slightly. Then I'm going to bring out some cake cloth and we're going to smooth down that whole area just to give it a nice finish. And then we're going to paint on the fault line. We're going to paint some gold. Okay, my cake's now touch dry, and I'm going to just smooth it down with a sheet of the cake cloth. Now you can use this on your buttercream surfaces and it smooths it out beautifully. And here I've got a sheet and a cake smoother. I'm just going to carefully put that against the side of the cake, and I'm just going to smooth down all that buttercream. Just taking care not to touch the sprinkle area. Right. Now I want the top of the cake to be quite rough. I don't want that to be smooth around here because that's also forming part of the fault line. Right, there we go. Now what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to pop that onto a board, let it set again, and then I'm ready to paint the gold on it. Right, once your buttercream cake has chilled and the edges are nice and firm, you can finish that off with a little bit of gold paint. And I've got some mixed here with some white alcohol, and I'm just going to touch all those edges of the cake. You want to make sure the buttercream is nice and firm, otherwise you're going to end up with a whole lot of buttercream in your paint. That won't be so great. You can finish off your cake by popping on a topper, and here I've got a happy birthday in gold to finish it off. And there you have your Faulltline cake. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and please do give it a try, and please join me in my next upcoming tutorials. Thank you and goodbye.